NXT took place tonight in Cincinnati, Ohio at the Andrew J. Brady Music Center. This was the third NXT show this year to take place at a location that was outside of the Performance Center. The first being in Los Angeles for New Year's Eve. That was the first show of the year. Then they did a show in Atlanta. Now, of course, this show in Cincinnati. And they definitely let us know that in 2 weeks they're going to be at the theater at Madison Square Garden. So you can definitely look forward to that because they did a great job of promoting that show. They really sold that show as if it's going to be a PLE. And that will be a bigger show than this, even though this show itself was very good. So we started the show off with Stephanie Vaquer defending her NXT Women's North American Championship against Carmen Petrovic, who was accompanied by Ashanti Adonis, whatever his name is, the worst storyline in wrestling right now. Stephanie's first challenge for the belt. The announcer really hyped up how you don't really become champion, or you don't really feel like a champion until you defended the title for at least one time. And that's what they were doing. And this was a match. It was a fine match to do for Stephanie because everyone knows she's going to win. Everyone likes her. She's super hot right now. Fans are really into her. So her winning a match like this is fine. Carmen, Stephanie gave her the best match of her career. She really carried the match. I thought Booker was super annoying. Every time Stephanie does that head scissor stomp for him to make all those noises, it takes you out of the match. He can be entertaining at times, especially when Trick Williams comes out. He adds to his entrance a lot, but there's other times where it's just so annoying right now. I can see why some people don't like him as an announcer, definitely on the internet. Anyway, this was Karen Petrovic's best match. She has talent. I just hate the Ashanti storyline. Stephanie got the win, as we all expected, with her I forget exactly what it's called, that backbreaker type finish. It looks really good. After the match, Julia confronts Stephanie Vaquer. She makes her entrance. She gets a decent pop. But she's not as over as Stephanie is right now, I definitely have to say. I felt like Julia was more of the heel in this thing, and I think that'd be the better way to go if we're going to have a long-term feud. So basically they acknowledge that they're friends. Everyone knows they're best friends. They're like super close friends. But, Julia's saying she's the best champion. She's trying to say like in as a respectful way as possible. She's basically saying she's the better champion. And in a way she is because she's the actual women's champion. Vaquer has the mid-card belt. But then Stephanie says that it must be champion versus champion. They both hold up their belts, and it's going to be an official match soon, and it was confirmed later in the night. So, I'll get to that later. I'll give more thoughts about that when I get to the Ava announcement. I feel this match, the first meeting between these two, should have taken place at Stand and Deliver, not at the Garden show in 2 weeks. But they want to pop the rating. You had Ariana Grace. There was footage earlier today where she's with her father, Santino Marella. They're in Cincinnati, enjoying the wonderful weather in Cincinnati in February, right? Anyway, they showed Lola Vice interrupting them, and Lola is now all blonde right now, and she ends up arguing with Ariana Grace, and she's basically saying that she can't fight, and it sets up a match later tonight with Lola Vice and Ariana Grace. They had Oba Femi backstage. He runs into Lexis King. They talk about Lexis facing Moose tonight. Of course, Oba's going to face Moose soon as well. You had Lexis King against Moose. Corey Graves said that Moose dominated in the NFL during this match. I laugh because I've looked that up. He was just a journeyman. There's nothing wrong with that. He was in the league 7 years, but most of the time, he was just cut. There's his last 2 seasons, he was just being released. Anyway, I had to get that out of there. For him to say that he dominated the NFL, it's like, come on, dude, don't say that. You're actually making him look bad because then we're just going to look up that he did not. Anyway, it was a very good match. Lexis King is good. They don't usually have the TNA guys beat the WWE guys too often, but they had Moose win. He beat Lexis King, and he won a good match. Oba Femi interrupts the celebration, and he announced at the Garden it's going to be Oba Femi against Moose at the theater at Madison Square Garden. I'll get that right. I heard it's right under the Garden, so that's where it's located. I don't know too much about it, but it's a historic venue. It's a theater under the Garden. I don't think they can run the Garden itself. I don't think they've ever run the Garden for NXT. That would have been a huge takeover if they ever did that back in the Black and Gold days. That would have been huge, but they always did the Barclays Center. Anyway, then we have a Sean Spears video package with all his new members. I think it's boring. I want to see Ty Dillinger. You had Jordan Grace heading to the ring. Then we see footage earlier in the day of Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan yelling at each other. Of course, this match is coming up. You had Jordan Grace cutting a promo on coming to NXT. She gets a decent pop. However, she's interrupted by one, Roxanne Perez, who's still in town because Raw was just in Cincinnati last night. So you basically had Roxanne coming in saying that this is her women's division, even though she's on Raw now. I mean, I'd much rather be a part of this women's division than the one on the main roster. If some of the reports are true about some of the one being unhappy. But Roxanne, I think, will be fine. Anyway, Roxanne's basically putting down TNA. She basically buries it because she says Jordan was a big fish in a small pond when she was in the Knockouts division and when she was TNA Women's Champion. Roxanne's really running her down. And it's a pretty good promo, but the fans, they love Roxanne. I mean, they didn't really hate Jordan, but they were cheering for Roxanne Perez here. They just really like her. Who doesn't like Roxanne Perez? She's really good in the ring. She's entertaining. She's really good on the mic. It's hard not to like her. She has charisma. Even though the promo wasn't perfect here. But basically, she's saying it's still her division, but Jordan calls her out and says, "Where's your belt?" And that gets Roxanne angry. They continue to go back and forth. And Jordan basically does the Mike Tyson quote where everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. She punches Roxanne in the face. Looks like it hurt Roxanne. And then Roxanne gets dumped over the top rope. And forgot to mention the stage was connected to the ring now. Kind of like those old WCW stages. So Roxanne lands on the stage. They have a stare down. Roxanne retreats. And it's obvious she's not done in NXT. I would have liked to seen her face Bayley at Stand and Deliver, but that's not going to happen. She might still face Bayley at WrestleMania because they had that confrontation on Raw last night, but that was during the break. So I don't know if the American crowd saw that. That was just for international viewers on Netflix. But she's going to wrestle Jordan Grace. She'll probably be in the Garden. I guess it makes sense because Raw takes place, I believe, it's in the Garden actually. Raw's in the Garden, so then NXT is going to be at the theater the next night. So, yeah, I guess they can do it there. That's where we'll probably get the match. They show Trick Williams reading native comments on his phone backstage. I thought, why, dude? He's so accomplished. He's going to go to the main roster. Why is he so down anyway? You have Javon Evans coming in to trying to calm him down. I hate to say this, I thought I heard Javon Evans when he's talking to Trick say the N-word. Like, he casually said, like, with an A. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I heard something I shouldn't have heard, but I could have sworn I heard him say the N-word. Anyway, we had Ricky Starks coming in, and Trick leaves, and Ricky's asking, why is everyone mad around here? I think people are happy in NXT right now. No Quarter Catch Crew and the Hardy Boys head to the ring. You had Sarah Screeber interviewing Jada Parker, but I couldn't really see it because my feed kept cutting in and out. But I don't know if other people had that problem. I think that's just for international viewers on Netflix. I had that problem, but I guess people watching on the CW in the U.S. had no problem there. But I really couldn't see it. But they're setting up a match with Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan next week. No Quarter Catch Crew comes out for their match against the Hardys. And when No Quarter Catch Crew comes out, they don't really get a reaction. But when the Hardys come out, holy shit, they got a massive pop. They got a huge pop. The fans loved them. It's the biggest pop I've heard for them since the WrestleMania 33 return, which was one of the biggest pops I've ever heard for any team returning ever, for any big return. That crowd at WrestleMania, they went ballistic for the Hardy Boys. They went crazy for them. I still remember it was like the stadium was shaking how loud it was. There was no roof. The roof would have been blown off of how loud it was. It was such an awesome moment. And this reminded me that I got goosebumps in a way seeing them back. When I heard the old Hardy Boys music, it kind of just put a smile on my face. They're heroes to this crowd. Anything they did, they were into. And at first, the Hardys are just kicking their ass. There's a cool spot where they do that, the move where Matt, I forget what they call it, Matt kneels on his hands and knees, and Jeff uses him as a springboard to do like a kick. And they do that, but they do it on the stage, and the stage is connected to the ring, and they go back into the stage. Jeff did it to one of the No Quarter Catch Crew team members. That was a cool spot. They were super into it, and the heels take control. They get the heat on the Hardys. Then they showed Fraxium coming out. They're watching from the ramp. Eventually, Hardys get the win. Matt hits a twist of face, Jeff hits a swanton bomb, and Matt gets the pin. And then they had Fraxium getting in the ring to congratulate the Hardys, who are super over. They're basically both teams are putting each other over. Hardy say they're proud of Fraxium because they were in TNA. They're proud that they're killing it in NXT. And eventually it sets up a match. Jeff is the one who says that they're ready to have a match with Fraxium. And then all of a sudden, Santino Morella's music hits and he gets a huge pop. And man, the guy was like crying. I could see Santino crying right there. He was about to cry. He's like biting his lip. It meant so much to him. That was such a cool moment for him. I don't know if he's ever gotten that big return moment like that, but seeing the crowd just go nuts for Santino, they're chanting his name. It really meant to him a lot to him because he knows that character wasn't the best. It was kind of a joke near the end. I mean, it was a good comedy character for sometimes, but near the end, man, it was really bad. I think that really meant a lot to him. And he's the head of TNA right now. I think he's their general manager. I don't know how much he runs the company, but Anthony Corelli is his full name, his real name. Anyway, he announces a tag team match for Madison Square Garden, and this will be for the tag team titles of TNA, not the NXT tag team titles. We're going to get Fraxium and the Hardys. I'm thinking, man, Fraxium and the Hardys. You're going to have Julia and Steffi Vaquer. I'm thinking, this is the ultimate stand and deliver show, but man, they're loading up this MSG show. I want to see these matches at stand and deliver because they're first timers. But yeah, they're focused on stand and deliver. They have an NXT showcase that features the family at a restaurant. When they're in New York, they have to go to like a big Italian famous restaurant and do a segment there. I think it would work. They show footage of Zaria and Sol Ruca over the weekend. They were in the trainer's room, and then Chelsea Green and Piper Niven randomly walk in. They basically get into a bit of an argument. Piper accidentally agrees to a match on NXT against them, and that will be next week at the Performance Center, not in the Garden. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven against Sol Ruca and Zaria. You had Ariana Grande. Yeah, right. I think everyone would be talking about something else that was her. Anyway, it's Ariana Grace against Lola Vice. I have to say, Lola comes out. She didn't get much of a pop. She used to get a really good pop. She was over with the fans. Not as much as she used to be. I like the new blonde look. She changed her look a bit. But also, it's a bit censored because, her character... It's a bit spicy, if you will, if you can say it like that. Yeah, it seemed like they censored her a bit here. I don't know. I've always thought she'd have trouble because of how sexual her character is. Her going to the main roster is going to be tough. But Lola, she just seemed like another character here. I wish she'd do more with her. And there's so many women in NXT. I always thought she'd be a bigger star than she is right now. But she won. It was not much of a match. We're trying to do like an MMA style match with punches. Fans were into it. She won with her back fist. She beat Ariana. Then they showed backstage at the Hooligans, wherever their team is, the Retribution 2.0. We're going to call them that. Retribution comes out. They beat up No Quarter Catch Crew. Who gives a shit? Eddie Thorpe video package. I don't care. His whole gimmick is he's a Native American, and he's equating his people losing land to him losing some match in NXT. I don't know. I don't care about Eddie Thorpe. He's a lucky man for landing Dakota Kai, but I really don't care much for him. He had Sarah Scriver backstage. He's in front of the crowd with Ava Raine, the general manager, and they're doing the whole thing where the crowd's there when they do the interview. She officially announced it's Julie and Stephanie Vaquer for both belts at Madison Square Garden, so it's basically winner take all. And I was disappointed because I really want that match at Stand and Deliver. That's a Stand and Deliver match. First time ever. Julia, Stephanie Vaquer in Las Vegas in front of a hardcore wrestling fans. It's going to be all like marks there. It's going to be a great crowd. Everyone's going to love everything they do. They're going to have an awesome match. I really want to see that at NXT Stand and Deliver. I think that would have been just a classic. Instead, we're going to get it at the Garden. Once they have a match, I don't think anyone's going to win. I don't think they're going to do a big title change. I think someone like Roxanne's going to get involved or something. Or maybe not Roxanne, someone will do something to make sure that no one wins. I just feel like they should have waited, the first meeting should have been at Stand and Deliver. Anyway, I said I'd get back to it later. That's my full thoughts. It is what it is. I still think there's a good chance we get that match at Stand and Deliver. They preview next week's show. And they did it a lot of times. They did it like twice where they previewed the show. I think they're doing their best because they assume they're getting a good rating because there's so much this week, especially with the Hardys. They assume they're going to get a high rating and they're trying to get everyone to watch next week. Then the main event, what happened? You have Wesley and Ethan Page against Javon Evans and Ricky Saints. So really funny chant in the match. As the match is starting, as Ricky's there, as he's wrestling, the fans start chanting, "Choney fumbled." Choney fumbled. I guess that's ironic because his father owns a football team, of course. We know who they're referencing. It's it's a good chant. He fumbled. Well, the Jaguars fumble a lot, so I think it's ironic. You have so you had the match broke out. It was a decent match. Fans like Ricky. He did the Ricky pose to start. He has his own entrance. He had Javon Evans and Ethan Page fight through the crowd, so they're obviously continuing the rivalry. And basically it ends there, and it comes down to Ricky and Wes in a singles match. Ricky takes out the two guys who are with Wes. I really know their names. Ricky eventually wins a match with his finisher. He celebrates. It was a good match, good main event. Ricky Saints with the win. And then they preview next week's show again. And I have to say, I was not a big fan of NXT last week, as I was a lot of things last week. But I thought this was a very good show. This was a really good show in Cincinnati. Really enjoyed it all throughout. Fun show to watch, entertaining. I'm looking forward to next week. And, of course, the big show for them is going to be in the Garden. That's in 2 weeks at the theater at Madison Square Garden. And then later is going to be, we know it's going to be Stand and Deliver. So NXT continues to be an entertaining show. I enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to what happens next week.